Hi, my name is Alicia Kyler, and today we did our project on a podcast called We Talk To. Unfortunately, my partner Ramaya Hall couldn't be here, but I will be covering you guys with the basics and how we did our editing process on Adobe Premiere 2021. And I would say that the challenges that this brought us was quite a lot. And it taught us how to be patient with each other and how to actually edit it and become a better editor. And it taught us to actually go one by one, be organized and be punctual, and actually know what we're doing, and actually asking each other for help and asking other people for help. This podcast the editing process was hard. But like I said, once you get the hang of it, it gets way easier. And I'm in the ATVF program, so I kind of got the hang of editing, but normally I'm in the camera. But let's just hop into us editing our video. Okay, hey you guys. So to take you guys on this process of us editing our podcast together, we are using two Acer dual monitors that support both Adobe and all the other things that we used to use. So first, you want to open up your Adobe editing software program. So I already opened it up for you guys. So we did click on a new project, and we're going to name our podcast We Talk To. And while it's loading, I'm going to station you guys up to where you can see the screen. Okay, alright. So, right here we have our full screen of our Adobe editing software. So right here we have the little section right here that says import media to start. So you're going to double click that, and it's going to take you to your file. Make sure you always want to have like your SD card or whatever you use plugged up to your computer so you can get your your footage off of. So right here, I'm going to go to my downloads, and right here I do have all of my footage from the podcast and other previous projects. So we have our first. So I did label each part of the podcast since we recorded in 3 different separate places. I'm trying to fix the thingy for you. Okay, so right here we talked to part 1. Alright, then you're going to come back, double click to your Adobe, and you're going to go to part 2. When uploading footage into Adobe, always label them by which section you want to go. Like if you have one section, another one. So 1, 2, 3, and you'll be good. So we talked to part 3 podcast. Okay, so right here is where you have to drag to put your media in. I'm going to put it right here. So right here we're going to go, we talked to part 1, we're going to drag it into the timeline so we can get our sequences starting. Then we're going to drag part 2 in. Then we're going to drag part 3 in. Okay, so we talked to part 3. Alright, so I'm going to scroll to the bottom. I'll turn down the volume a little bit. And this is our outro. You want to just make sure that all things are lined up good and you have the right footage into your Adobe editing software, such as Gen Z and all the other ones, and how it's affected us in our day lives and all the little things going on with it. Anything else you want to close about, Maya?
No, but I always want you guys to remember that we talk to. Peace.
Alright, so as you can see, our editing, our last final footage right here was good, and that was our correct ending process. So we're going to go ahead and start getting into the editing process of taking out the actual video, because this is not a YouTube video or a video podcast. This is just a regular schmegular podcast. So getting into the editing, the very detailed editing part, you want to start with right here. You have the section where you have your video and your sound linked together. So the sound is at the bottom part and the video is at the top part. So you want to do a right click, and then you want to unlink the two together. So right now your audio and your video are two separate things, and therefore you won't have, you can delete either one. So in this case, we're going to delete the video because we want a podcast. So all you're going to do is select it and make sure that the part you want to delete is highlighted, and you're just going to mash backspace. So as you can see in our beginning right here, we have the first part of our podcast, which is just audio. So next, you're going to do that to each section since we have 3 parts. So you're going to unlink, delete, unlink, delete. Okay, now we have our full podcast done. Now if you want, you can add editing effects such as audio effects. So right here, we want to be able to fade out of our audio so it can be a clean transition and clean finish. So right here, we're going to click on our audio effects on our, well, on my screen is the right, and we're going to go to audio transitions, crossfade, and then you want to do exponential fade. You're going to drag that into right here, and you have a fade onto your audio. Let me see. Okay. I'm trying to get it, and then I'm going to show you guys what it sounds like. All the little things are going on with it. Anything else you want to close about, Maya?
No, but I always want you guys to remember that we talk too. Peace.
And you see how it gets suddenly more quiet instead of just ending abruptly. So that's really the main thing. And if you want, you can add an audio transition to the beginning of the podcast, just to add a little something special. And then,
hey, I'm your host Ramaya,
and I'm your Okay, it did not add right there. Alright.
Hey, I'm your host.
You see how you have heard the fade in right there? So therefore you have the little fade in so you would not like just start abruptly. And if you want, we're going to make it a little longer because, you know, you don't want it to just to be loud when you just start playing. You want it to fade in and actually get, you know, to the point where you got to go. So I'm just going to be doing that. Okay.
Hey, I'm your host Ramaya,
And I'm your co-host Alicia.
and thanks for tuning in to our first episode of our podcast, We Talk Too.
Okay, so as you can see right there, we have our first couple seconds of our podcast completed. And from what we have right now is good and ready to be exported out of Adobe to where we can share it with you guys. So you're going to go to File, and you're going to go to Export. Then you're going to do Media. Then you're going to have it all in your right place. You're going to make sure it's in your C file, and we're going to transfer it to our Z file. So now you just want to export. And right here, it's going to take you to the rendering time that it has to export. So as you can see, it's 2 minutes now. So we're just already downloaded for you guys. So I can just show you. Okay. Sorry for all the clicking. So to show you you guys the final project, here you go. We're gonna go to our files, into our downloads, and then you have the copy of We Talk Too.
Hey, I'm your host Ramaya,
And I'm your co-host Alicia.
and thanks for tuning in to our first episode of our podcast, We Talk Too. Alright, so today what we're going to be doing is talking about social media and its influences and impacts on us as teenagers.
Okay, and as you can see, that's our final project and our final production of our podcast, episode 1, We Talk Too. And that was how we edit on Adobe Premiere 2021. Thank you. So thank you for watching us edit and the process that it took to edit on Adobe Premiere Pro 2021. And unfortunately, Maya couldn't join us, but she was my partner in this process. And I just want to do a huge shout out to her and thank her for all her troubles and everything. But this process has been quite challenging, especially with trying to put the Loom on there to give y'all the introductory video. But we overcame that, and the process doing this on Adobe was also quite challenging. But with the help of our media specialist and our ATVF teacher, we were able to overcome that. And like I said, the process, I would give it about a 7 out of 10. But once you get the hang of it, you're on the road. And I just want to say, I hope you guys enjoy our podcast and all the specific artifacts we hit about and all the things we talk about, especially since it's a new age with new teenagers and all that stuff, Generation Z. And I just want to say thank you for listening.